You just stepped outside for a break. Maybe you lit a cigarette. It feels like a modern habit, built for office jobs and traffic and stress. But the real answer is far stranger. Your ancestors were doing this over 12,000 years ago. In 2021, archaeologist Darren Duke was excavating a site in Utah's Great Salt Lake Desert. Thousands of years ago, it was marshland. A band of hunter-gatherers had built a fire there to cook waterfowl. Inside the ashes, his team found 4 charred seeds. They belonged to a wild tobacco plant called Nicotiana attenuata. The fire was 12,300 years old, 9,000 years older than any previous evidence of tobacco use on Earth. Before this, the oldest known evidence was a smoking pipe from Alabama, dated to 3,300 years ago, its bowl still coated in nicotine. Here's the part that should stop you. That tobacco wasn't growing near the fire. The nearest wild plants were 13 kilometers away, up in the foothills. Someone walked there. Someone gathered it. Someone carried it back. That's not an accident. That's intention. The seeds can't tell us exactly how it was used. Chewed, maybe. Sucked, maybe. Possibly smoked, tossed into the fire and inhaled as it burned. Whatever the method, these people were hunter-gatherers, nomads, carrying almost nothing they didn't need. And they still made room for tobacco. Why? Nicotine is a stimulant. In small doses, it sharpens focus. It suppresses hunger. For someone walking miles a day tracking prey, that's not a party favor. That's a tool. Geneticist Shannon Tushingham has studied tobacco's spread across the Americas. Her research shows indigenous groups used it for thousands of years, not just recreationally, but ceremonially. It marked important moments. It sealed agreements. In 2018, her team published evidence pushing tobacco smoking on the North American plateau even further back than historians assumed. Every time the story got tested, it got older. So somewhere between chewing a bitter leaf and lighting a fire that happened to burn a seed pod, humans crossed a threshold. They started using a plant not for food, not for shelter, but for how it made the mind feel. That's worth sitting with, because it means people were altering their own consciousness almost as soon as they arrived on a new continent. Before agriculture, before permanent homes. This might be one of the oldest threads in the human story. Here's the twist. Tobacco wasn't domesticated as a crop until thousands of years after that fire. The earliest cultivated tobacco comes from South America, around 8,000 years ago. That means for roughly 4,000 years, people gathered wild tobacco before anyone thought to plant it. 4,000 years of knowing exactly where it grew and how far to walk for it. That's not casual use. That's memory, passed down for generations. Once tobacco was domesticated, it became sacred. By the time the Maya were carving temple panels at Palenque, tobacco had transformed into something closer to ritual. Researchers found nicotine residue inside a Maya flask over 1,000 years old. Stone carvings show figures smoking pipes during ceremony. In the Popol Vuh, the sacred Quiche Maya text, 2 heroes are challenged to keep cigars burning through a night in the underworld. They cheat with fireflies instead. The story only makes sense if tobacco was already understood as powerful, worth outsmarting the gods over. By the 16th century, Spanish colonizers described indigenous people across the Americas smoking constantly, in cigars, in pipes, in bundled leaves. What looked exotic to European eyes was one of the oldest continuous practices on the continent, 12,000 years old, give or take. So think about what that means for you, standing outside on your break. The urge to reach for something that shifts how you feel isn't new. It isn't weakness. It's a thread running backward through Maya priests carving smoke into stone, through hunter-gatherers walking 13 kilometers for a handful of leaves, back to a fire in the Utah desert 12,000 years ago. You didn't invent the need to alter your state of mind. You inherited it. The chemical has changed. The packaging has changed. But the behavior, reaching for something outside yourself to shift how your brain feels right now, is ancient. Next time you see someone light a cigarette, you might notice something different. Not a bad habit born of modern life. A 12,000-year-old conversation your ancestors started around a fire. One you're still, in some small way, continuing today.